Good. Stay right there. Don't flinch, don't soften it. This is the part where they start lying to themselves harder. Because once you exist, truly exist, once you stop shrinking, stop explaining, stop asking to be understood, the illusion cracks. They start realizing something terrifying. You're not reacting anymore. You're deciding. And decision terrifies people who survive by habit. They thought fear was your leash. They didn't realize fear was your teacher. You learned early that fear isn't a wall. It's a doorway. Most people hit it and turn around. You leaned into it. You asked it questions. You let it strip you down until all that was left was instinct sharpened by intelligence. That's why you don't panic now. That's why chaos feels familiar. You already lived where others only visit in nightmares. They mistake your calm for emptiness. It's not emptiness. It's compression. You don't waste energy on noise. You don't bleed emotion for spectators. You conserve. You observe. You let the room reveal its weaknesses. While they're trying to be seen, you're trying to see. And the one who sees always wins eventually. That's the part they can't accept. You don't need dominance displays. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to prove anything. Power that needs to announce itself is already insecure. Real power sits quietly and waits for patterns to repeat. Because patterns always repeat when people think they're safe. And you notice something most never do. People tell the truth when they think you're harmless. So you let them believe it. You let them underestimate. You let them relax. That's not manipulation. That's intelligence applied without apology. They keep saying you're too much because you don't play small to make them comfortable. You don't dilute yourself for group harmony. You don't trade clarity for acceptance. And that exposes a brutal truth, that most of what they call kindness is just fear of confrontation dressed up as morality. You outgrew that. You realize that being good without being dangerous is just being useful, and being dangerous without being controlled is just being stupid. So you became something rarer, aware, and capable. Conscience with teeth, calm with consequences. That balance makes people uneasy because it forces a mirror. When they look at you, they're reminded of every time they chose comfort over truth. Every time they betrayed their own instincts to fit in. Every time they swallowed a thought because it might cost them approval. You didn't, or at least you stopped. That's why your presence alone disrupts rooms. You don't have to challenge anyone. Your existence does it for you. You stand there, unexplainable, unreactive, unowned. And suddenly everyone feels exposed. They'll try to provoke you. They'll try to bait emotion. They'll try to drag you back into predictable reactions. Because if they can make you emotional, they can make you manageable. If they can make you angry, they can frame you. If they can make you explain yourself, they can dilute you. But you learned restraint the hard way. You learned that silence isn't weakness, it's leverage. That timing is more important than intensity. That the sharpest blade is the one nobody sees until it's already done its work. You don't move when they expect. You don't respond how they rehearse. You don't escalate. You outlast. And nothing unnerves insecure systems more than something they can't rush, threaten, or rush into a mistake. That's why they say you're cold, detached, unhuman. No, you're just no longer reactive. You still feel deeply, deeper than most. That's the irony. You just don't leak it everywhere. You've learned where emotion belongs and where it becomes a liability. You don't confuse authenticity with self-sabotage anymore. Pain didn't make you numb. It made you selective. And here's the part that really breaks them. You don't hate them. Hate would mean they still control your inner weather. Hate would mean you're still orbiting their gravity. You're not. You've stepped outside it. You see them clearly now. Scared, repetitive, desperate to be validated by structures that are already rotting. You're not angry. You're done. Done seeking permission. Done explaining your depth to shallow listeners. Done pretending your awareness is a flaw instead of an upgrade. Done apologizing for seeing through things faster than others are ready for. That's why they can't explain you. You're what happens when someone survives disillusionment without becoming bitter. When someone walks through darkness and doesn't come back begging for light, but carrying their own. You're not fearless because nothing scares you. You're fearless because fear no longer controls you. You're not intelligent because you memorized rules. You're intelligent because you understand why they exist, and when they don't matter. You're awake because you stopped outsourcing your perception. You stopped letting crowds think for you. You stopped trusting narratives that require you to be smaller to function. And once someone wakes up like that, there's no putting them back. So let them struggle to define you. Let them argue about you. Let them invent stories that make your existence easier to digest. You don't need their understanding, because deep down, beneath the confusion, beneath the labeling, beneath the fear, they already know the truth. You're not here to fit in. You're here to shift something. And that's exactly why they feel it coming. And here's the part they never prepare for. The moment they realize you're not trying to win their approval or destroy them. You're not playing the same game at all. You stepped off the board while they were still memorizing the rules. That realization hits them like vertigo, because everything they do is transactional. Be good, get rewarded. Be loud, get noticed. Be obedient, get protected. And then you show up, untouched by those incentives. You don't chase applause. You don't fear exile. You don't collapse under silence. That's when they feel it. That sick crawling awareness that they have no leverage over you. Leverage terrifies people who rely on control. They try to read you, but you don't give them tells. You're not flat. You're contained. You learned the cost of being emotionally available in hostile environments. You learned that transparency without discernment is just self-betrayal with good intentions. So now you choose carefully who gets access and who only gets observation. They call it guarded. It's actually earned privacy. You didn't close off because you're weak. You closed off because you finally understood your value. You stopped handing your inner world to people who only wanted souvenirs. You stopped explaining your pain to people who needed it to be smaller so they wouldn't have to feel guilty. That's when the shift happened. That's when you stopped asking, "Why do they treat me like this?" and started asking, "Why do I keep standing where this behavior is possible?" Awareness sharpens fast once that question lands. You began noticing how quickly people reveal themselves when they sense you won't bend. The subtle aggression, the passive comments, the sudden rules that only apply to you. That's not coincidence. That's threat response. You don't threaten them by being cruel. You threaten them by being immune. Immune to guilt hooks. Immune to shame loops. Immune to emotional blackmail disguised as concern. You don't bite. You don't flinch. You don't overcorrect. You let them escalate alone. And nothing makes someone unravel faster than realizing they're the only one losing control. They want you reactive because reaction is predictable. They want you defensive because defense justifies attack. They want you loud so they can dismiss you, but you don't give them any of it. You just exist, clearly, calmly, unapologetically, and that forces a question they hate answering. If you're not broken, then what excuse do they have? That's where the real hostility comes from, not jealousy, exposure. Your presence threatens the stories they tell themselves about why they settled, why they complied, why they stayed quiet when something inside them was screaming. You remind them of the moment they chose safety over self-respect. And instead of confronting that, they project it onto you. They'll say you think you're better. You don't. You just stopped pretending everyone's the same. They'll say you're disconnected. You're not. You're just no longer enmeshed. They'll say you changed. You did. Growth looks like betrayal to people who need you frozen. What they can't say out loud is this: you adapted in ways they didn't have the courage to. You took responsibility for your inner world. You stopped blaming circumstances and started redesigning yourself. You learned how to sit with discomfort without numbing it, how to stand alone without romanticizing it, how to be misunderstood without correcting the record. That last one, that's power. Because once you no longer need to be understood, you become untouchable. People can gossip, speculate, mislabel. It doesn't land. Their words bounce off because they're not speaking to your identity anymore. They're speaking to a version of you that no longer exists. You shed that skin quietly, and now, here you are, awake enough to see manipulation as structure, fear as training, pain as data. Awake enough to know that not every fight is worth winning, but every pattern is worth noticing. You don't rush outcomes. You trust accumulation. You trust patience, sharpened by clarity. You know that systems collapse under their own weight. All you have to do is not prop them up. That's why you don't force change. You become it. And becoming something uncontrollable in a world addicted to control is the most dangerous thing you can do, without ever raising your voice. They can't explain you because explanation would require honesty. Honesty about how fragile their identities really are, how dependent they are on validation, structure, permission, how terrified they are of someone who doesn't need the same scaffolding to stand. You walked through confusion and came back coherent. You walked through pain and came back precise. You walked through darkness and didn't outsource your morality to it. That's rare. That's why rooms shift when you enter. That's why conversations slow down around you. That's why people feel watched, even when you say nothing. Awareness has weight. Presence has gravity. You don't announce yourself as a threat. You let them feel it. And the truth they keep circling but can't say is simple and brutal. You're not ahead of them because you're special. You're ahead because you were willing to look where others refused. And once you see that much, there's no going back to sleep. And once you can't go back to sleep, you start seeing the world for what it really is. Not the story they tell about it, but the machinery underneath. You notice how fear is distributed deliberately, how distraction is engineered, how comfort is used as a leash. Most people sense this on some level, but they numb it. You didn't. You stared at it until it blinked. That's why your mind moves differently now. You don't rush towards certainty. You sit with ambiguity until it reveals structure. You don't cling to beliefs for identity. You test them. You don't confuse confidence with noise. You understand that the quietest person in the room often knows exactly how the whole thing ends. They mistake your restraint for hesitation. It's not hesitation, it's calculation. You learned that power isn't about speed, it's about timing. That reacting fast feels strong, but acting right is lethal. So you slowed down. You stopped giving your energy to every provocation. You stopped proving yourself to people who benefit from you being predictable. And the moment you did that, everything changed. They noticed the gap, the space where their influence used to live. They felt the absence of control like a missing limb. Suddenly their usual tactics didn't land. The guilt trips bounced. The pressure campaigns fizzled. The emotional hooks found nothing to catch on. That's when confusion turned into fear. Because fear doesn't come from aggression. It comes from inaccessibility. From not knowing where you stand, what you want, or how to move you. You became unreadable not because you're hiding, but because you stopped broadcasting. You learned that not everyone deserves access to your thoughts. That intimacy without trust is theft. That vulnerability without safety is exploitation. So you became selective, surgical, calm. They call that cold. But cold things last. You don't burn yourself out trying to save people who enjoy the fire. You don't martyr yourself for systems that would crush you without hesitation. You don't confuse endurance with virtue anymore. You understand that survival is not the goal. Sovereignty is. And sovereignty scares people. Because a sovereign mind doesn't beg. It doesn't over-explain. It doesn't need consensus to act. It evaluates, decides, and moves. Sometimes visibly, sometimes invisibly, but always deliberately. You don't threaten the hierarchy by attacking it. You threaten it by proving it's optional. That's why they keep watching you, studying you, trying to figure out what you're planning. They assume there must be a scheme, a motive, a hidden agenda, because they can't comprehend someone who isn't driven by the same hungers they are. They don't understand someone who can walk away from validation, someone who can tolerate solitude without collapsing, someone who can hold opposing truths without needing to resolve them into something comfortable. But you learned that paradox isn't a flaw, it's a feature. You are light enough to see clearly and dark enough to act when clarity demands it. You can love deeply without being naive. You can be dangerous without being cruel. You can forgive without forgetting. You can stand alone without declaring war. That balance is rare. That balance is earned. It was carved into you by nights nobody saw, by losses nobody applauded, by decisions that cost you relationships, comfort, identity. You paid for your awareness with pieces of yourself you'll never get back. And you'd still do it again. Because once you've tasted this level of clarity, going back feels like suffocation. Pretending not to see feels like lying. And lying to yourself is the one thing you will never do again. That's why you unsettle people. Not because you're hostile, but because you're honest in a world built on avoidance. You don't scream truth at them, you just live it. And that quiet integrity feels like an accusation to anyone still hiding. They sense that you won't be manipulated by fear of exclusion, that you won't be bribed with praise, that you won't be broken by misunderstanding. And when someone realizes none of their usual tools work on you, they're left with only one option: adapt or resent. Most choose resentment, so they keep talking, keep speculating, keep trying to reduce you to something manageable. They need you to be just another type, because if you're real, if someone can actually become this self-possessed, this aware, this internally anchored, then all their excuses collapse. And that terrifies them more than anything you could ever do. But you're not here to reassure them. You're here because something in you refused to stay asleep. Because pain didn't break you. It educated you. Because fear didn't stop you. It clarified you. Because intelligence didn't inflate your ego. It disciplined it. You're not fearless because you lack fear. You're fearless because fear no longer decides for you. You're not awake because you read the right things or followed the right people. You're awake because you questioned everything that asked you to abandon yourself. And now you move differently. You let things unfold. You let people reveal themselves. You let outcomes ripen. You understand that the most powerful position is not control. It's clarity. So let them stay confused. Let them struggle to name you. Let them argue about what you are, what you represent, what you might become. You don't need a label. You're the result of pressure applied without permission. You're the outcome they didn't plan for. You're what happens when someone wakes up and refuses to go back. And here's where it ends. Not with a shout, not with a threat, but with a truth so quiet it rattles bones. You were never meant to be explained. Explanation is for things that stay still. Categories are for things that obey. Definitions are for things that don't evolve. And you move. You adapt. You shed skin mid-sentence. By the time they think they understand you, that version is already gone. That's why every attempt to pin you down fails. They ask, "What are you?" But the real question is, why aren't we? You didn't wake up to dominate. You woke up to see. And once you see, domination becomes unnecessary. You understand leverage without flexing it. You understand danger without performing it. You understand power without needing witnesses. That's the final fracture in their logic. They thought strength was loud. You proved it could be still. They thought intelligence needed approval. You proved it could stand alone. They thought fearlessness meant recklessness. You proved it meant choice. You don't rush the end game because you're not afraid of time. You don't chase outcomes because you understand gravity. Things bend toward what's grounded, toward what's coherent, toward what doesn't need permission to exist. You became that. And now the world reacts to you without knowing why. Opportunities tilt. Conflicts dissolve before touching you. People either lean in or fall away. Not because you demanded it, but because clarity reorganizes environments all on its own. You are not here to save them. You are not here to burn it all down. You are here as proof. Proof that someone can walk through darkness without becoming it. Proof that awareness can coexist with restraint. Proof that pain can produce precision instead of poison. They can't explain you because explaining you would force them to confront themselves, to admit what they avoided, to acknowledge what they surrendered, to face the cost of staying asleep when waking up was always an option. That's not your burden. Your burden was surviving long enough to become this version of you. The one who no longer flinches, no longer over-explains, no longer begs to be seen. The one who knows exactly when to move and when to wait. The one who understands that real freedom isn't rebellion. It's independence of mind. So let the world stay confused. You don't need to be understood to be effective. You don't need permission to be powerful. You don't need applause to be awake. You already crossed the line they're still pretending doesn't exist. And the most dangerous thing of all, you're just getting started. Not with noise, not with chaos, but with calm certainty. That's why they feel it. That's why they can't explain you. And that's why they never will. Easy now. Slow your breath. Feel that shift, that pressure in the air. That's the moment right before something ancient realizes it miscalculated you. Because listen, this isn't the kind of silence that comes before applause. This is the kind that happens when even the devil stops smiling and lowers his head. You see, you weren't supposed to make it this far. You were designed to break cleanly, quietly, predictably. They wanted a tragedy, a cautionary tale, a body for the footnotes. But instead, you became a problem for things that thought they invented problems. And that's where it went wrong. Because when even hell pauses to reassess, it's not fear, it's recognition. You walked through pain that was meant to erase you, loss that was engineered, not accidental, humiliation that was curated like a ritual. They stripped you of safety, identity, certainty, thinking that if they removed enough light, you'd disappear. But you didn't disappear. You adapted. You learned how to see in the dark. You learned how to breathe under pressure. You learned how to smile while bleeding and think while everyone else panicked. That's the paradox they never understood about you. You don't grow despite suffering. You grow because of it. Pain didn't harden you. It sharpened you. Chaos didn't confuse you. It trained you. Being misunderstood didn't isolate you. It gave you camouflage. You became fluent in contradiction, saint in your restraint, psychopath in your precision, angel when it mattered, demon when it was required. And that duality, that's not a flaw, that's a weapon. See, the devil understands rules. He understands deals. He understands temptation. But you understand consequences. You don't chase destruction. You survive it, study it, then rewrite it. You don't lash out blindly. You wait, watch, calculate. You don't need permission to evolve. That's why even darkness blinks first, because you didn't just endure hell. You learned its architecture. You memorized its patterns. You mapped its exits. And when the moment came, you didn't run. You stood there, calm, silent, a little amused. That's when the shift happened. That's when the power dynamic snapped. Because the devil doesn't bow to strength. He bows to inevitability, to someone who can't be corrupted because they've already integrated their shadow, to someone who doesn't fear losing everything because they've already lost it once and came back different. You stopped being controllable the moment you realized this truth. Nothing they can take from you is more dangerous than what they accidentally unlocked inside you. You don't seek chaos anymore. Chaos seeks you, hoping you'll give it direction. And that's terrifying. To systems, to enemies, to anything built on predictability, because you are no longer a reaction. You are a variable, unstable to those who rely on scripts, invisible to those who only see surfaces, unstoppable to those who thought pain was your limit. When even the devil bows, it's not respect, it's surrender to reality. It's the acknowledgement that you walked through fire and didn't come out clean. You came out encoded, and now you move differently. You speak less. You observe more, because you know something they don't. This world doesn't fear evil. It fears people who made peace with it and chose control instead. And that's you, standing there, still breathing, still thinking, still evolving, not broken, not saved, just awake. And that's why everything feels off. Because something went wrong for them the moment you refused to disappear. Because after that moment, after the bow, after the recalculation, You stopped being a story they could finish. You became an anomaly they couldn't file away. You noticed it, didn't you? The way people hesitate now. The way conversations shift when you enter. The way confidence drains out of voices that used to talk over you. That's not paranoia. That's pattern recognition. They can't tell what version of you they're dealing with anymore. The quiet observer, the ruthless strategist, the one who forgives, or the one who remembers everything. And that uncertainty, that's power. You see, most people are readable, predictable, editable. Push here, they react. Dangle this, they chase. Threaten that, they fold. But you broke the loop. You learned how to pause instead of react. How to let silence do the damage. How to weaponize patience. You learned that restraint isn't weakness. It's dominance delayed. That's why even darkness misjudged you. It assumed you'd either break or burn. It didn't plan for you to observe. While others begged for relief, you studied the pressure. While others screamed, you listened. While others lost themselves, you found something colder, cleaner, more focused. You discovered that fear loses its grip when you stop running from it. You discovered that shame evaporates when you stop asking for permission to exist. You discovered that morality isn't about purity, it's about choice. And you chose awareness. That's the part nobody wants to talk about. Awakening doesn't feel holy. It feels isolating, heavy, like carrying knowledge that makes small talk unbearable and fake smiles exhausting. You outgrew comfort before you outgrew pain. You outgrew belonging before you outgrew loneliness. And still, you kept going, not because you believed things would get better, but because you understood something deeper. If you survived this version of hell, there was nothing left that could truly own you. That's when the world subtly rearranged itself around you. Opportunities started appearing disguised as accidents. Enemies exposed themselves by overplaying their hand. Allies found you without knowing why. Because once you stop needing approval, reality treats you differently. You don't beg fate anymore. You negotiate with it. You don't fear endings. You initiate them. That's why the devil bowed, not in worship, but in acknowledgement, because you reach the one state that can't be tempted. Independence of outcome. You're no longer desperate to win. You're no longer afraid to lose. And that terrifies anything that feeds on leverage. You understand now that your unpredictability isn't chaos. It's freedom. You can walk away without resentment. You can stay without attachment. You can destroy without hatred. You can forgive without forgetting. You carry both the blade and the restraint, both the fire and the discipline to contain it. And here's the truth that seals it. The reason you unsettle rooms, the reason eyes linger too long, the reason systems glitch around you. You're not chasing power. You've already integrated it. Power that comes from pain metabolized into clarity. Power that comes from losing illusions instead of winning battles. Power that doesn't announce itself, because it doesn't need witnesses. You move like someone who's already died once and came back unafraid of consequences, and that's why nothing can bargain with you anymore. Not fear, not desire, not guilt, not even darkness, because you didn't reject your shadow. You trained it, and now it follows you quietly, not as a curse, but as proof that when even the devil bows, it's because you became something that no longer kneels. And here's the part nobody ever warns you about. After that bow, after that silent surrender from the dark itself, the world doesn't get louder, it gets quieter. Too quiet. Because once you cross that line, Once you survive what was supposed to erase you, reality starts treating you like a fixed point instead of a variable. Things stop testing you the same way. People stop challenging you openly. They start watching instead, measuring, waiting for you to slip. You feel it in the air, that subtle tension, like something ancient is holding its breath every time you make a decision, because you're no longer moving inside the script. You're writing margins into it. See, the devil doesn't fear violence. He doesn't fear ambition. He doesn't fear rage. He fears self-command. And you mastered that in the place where most people lose themselves, when everything was stripped: status, certainty, safety, identity. You didn't panic. You didn't beg. You didn't dissolve. You went still. You went inward. You started asking different questions. Not why is this happening to me, but what does this pressure want to reveal? That's when the alchemy began. Pain stopped being an enemy and started becoming information. Betrayal stopped being personal and started becoming diagnostic. Loss stopped being an ending and started becoming a filter. You didn't just survive trauma, you decoded it. And once you do that, you stop being emotionally exploitable. Guilt no longer works on you the same way. Fear loses its leverage. Hope becomes a tool, not a dependency. You learned how to exist without needing the outcome to validate you. That's a dangerous state, because people can't manipulate someone who isn't chasing relief. Systems can't threaten someone who already understands collapse. Darkness can't corrupt someone who's already stared into it and chosen discipline over denial. That's why things feel off now. You're not angry like before. You're not hungry like before. You're not reactive like before. You're precise. You know exactly how much effort to give, exactly when to speak, exactly when to disappear, and disappearance. That's another thing you mastered. You learned how to withdraw without retreating, how to go silent without going weak, how to let absence do the work of confrontation. You don't announce moves anymore. You let results speak. That's why even those who hate you can't stop thinking about you. That's why even those who doubt you keep checking your trajectory. That's why even those who tried to bury you now lower their voices when your name comes up. Because something in them knows you're not operating on emotion anymore. You're operating on alignment. And alignment is terrifying. It means your actions aren't impulsive. They're inevitable. It means your choices don't wobble. They land. It means when you move, reality adjusts. Instead of resisting, you didn't become heartless. You became selective. You didn't lose empathy. You gained boundaries sharp enough to protect it. You didn't turn cold. You turned clear. That's the evolution nobody celebrates because it doesn't look heroic. It looks calm, controlled, unimpressed. And when even the devil bows, it's because he recognizes that look. The look of someone who doesn't need chaos to feel alive. The look of someone who doesn't need validation to feel real. The look of someone who could destroy, but doesn't have to. That's the highest form of threat. Because you don't broadcast danger. You contain it. You walk into rooms carrying a quiet gravity, not loud enough to announce itself, strong enough to bend everything around it. People feel it before they understand it. They sense they can't rush you. They sense they can't corner you. They sense that whatever version of you they're seeing isn't the whole thing. And they're right. Because you learned how to compartmentalize without fracturing, how to be soft without being weak, how to be ruthless without being reckless. You became your own balance. Light doesn't blind you anymore. Darkness doesn't scare you anymore. You've walked both sides long enough to know they're tools, not identities. And now you stand in that middle space, unowned, unrushed, unbroken. That's why nothing dares rush you now. Because when even the devil bows, it's not because you became evil. It's because you became undeniable. And deep down, everything knows it made a mistake, letting you survive long enough to figure that out. And once you reach that state, once you're undeniable, you realize something unsettling. Nothing is chasing you anymore, not because you're safe, but because the hunt no longer makes sense. Predators hunt weakness, systems hunt dependence, darkness hunts confusion. You don't offer any of that now. You walk like someone who already knows the cost and paid it early. You speak like someone who doesn't need agreement to proceed. You decide like someone who's already lived through the worst-case scenario and found it survivable. That's when the world stops trying to scare you and starts trying to study you. People watch how you react to pressure. They track how you move when things go wrong. They notice you don't flinch when plans collapse, because collapse is familiar territory to you. You've been there. You were forged there. While others were learning how to win, you were learning how to endure without losing yourself. While others were chasing comfort, you were learning how to function inside discomfort without becoming cruel or desperate. That's not normal evolution. That's accelerated. And acceleration comes with a cost most people can't afford. You paid it. In nights where nobody checked on you. In moments where you had to choose between becoming bitter or becoming disciplined. In situations where doing the right thing felt like self-sabotage. But you did it anyway, not for applause, but because you refused to become sloppy with your soul. You didn't stay pure. You stayed intentional, and intention outlasts purity every time. You learned when to open your hand and when to close it. You learned when to give grace and when to withdraw access. You learned that forgiveness isn't reconciliation, it's release. That lesson alone separated you from the crowd, because most people forgive to feel holy. You forgive to stay free. You don't cling anymore. You don't chase closure. You don't need revenge to feel whole. That's why even darkness recalibrated, because it knows it can't dangle temptation in front of someone who's already tasted everything and chose restraint anyway. You're not motivated by envy. You're not driven by rage. You're not animated by fear of missing out. You move from a deeper engine, alignment, timing, precision. You understand something most never will. Power doesn't come from force. It comes from unavailability. You're unavailable to manipulation, unavailable to emotional bait, unavailable to urgency manufactured by people who need you frantic so they can stay ahead. You don't rush anymore. You let moments come to you, and when they do, you're already prepared. That's why you don't need to announce your growth. Others do it for you, in whispers, in glances, in sudden shifts of tone. You've noticed it, how people explain themselves more around you now, how jokes soften, how disrespect becomes cautious curiosity. They don't know why, they just feel the boundary, because you don't carry chaos on the surface anymore. You carry containment.